Welcome to the 11th devlog series that I'm making this. And I think this week I'm going to just, again, this week should be straightforward. We're on the final week of March. As you may know, the goal for my Q1 is to actually launch this application regardless of whatever happens. As in, regardless of whether or not the application will be a success or not, I still want to make sure that I get to launch this before Q3. That's my main goal for this year, and that's what I'm going to go down to. And so far, I think we are on the right track. In this video, I'm going to just talk about at least the 3 things that happened this week and give you guys some updates on what's been going on behind the scenes, because I think maybe we have some new viewers here or something like that. People who are just catching along. I don't know who watches this, to be honest with you. But if you don't know, the application is actually about call screening. Call screener is essentially something that Apple has yet to be done on the iPhone, while in the meantime, Google phones and other Bixby, Samsung has had this feature a long time before Apple did. And as you know, you've seen that article, it's going to take Apple 2 years to build a Siri that has a conversational AI in it. And that's a ridiculous amount of time if you ask me. 2 years is a long time. So my goal is to bring it all here on the iPhone. So this week is all about preparation. So I've launched the external app testing. That's done. I passed the external testing for the first time. So what this required is that you provide them a sign-in demo app before you submit your app, before it goes to the review process. So you guys make sure you add a bit of a description just to know that you're serious, and then you give them a demo account. I think they're gonna go through your. I think what they will do is they will sign into your account. What they didn't know is I can actually see if they did went through the onboarding process for my application. I can tell you they did not go through my onboarding process. I can tell you that for a fact. But I still passed for some reason. I don't know why, but maybe they do it in the background. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how it works. I've also worked on fixing the voice calling on the external release that I made. So this voice calling was missing for that release. For some reason, you can't hear what the other person was saying. You can't perform a voice calling. You can't perform a dial-up version. You can't actually transfer the call back to your device. You can't do those things. And so I finally patched that thing. And then while I was testing this application, I also started working on the mark and stuff. I've even recorded the screen recording for all the other features. Reason why this is actually important. I think one of the keys here is when I was building my landing page. I don't know, when I was building this landing page, I felt a little bit, I thought my landing page wasn't good enough. And I think what made me feel better is when I looked at other SaaS applications that are doing well now, but before, when they were starting, it was really ugly. And so if you really look back in some of these applications that are already well established, like Intercom, for example. Intercom is one of the AI chatbots out there. Just one example. I might even show one here based on Chatbase, where they kind of do the same thing with agents. But you can see the differences between the landing page on both sides. You can see the difference between the first version, the landing page, and then versus to now. So it's just completely different. I think what they also got right here, in my opinion, is the pricing. And so I think I want to talk about the pricing stuff. So as you may know, that the pricing that I'm working on the application is based around usage-based prices or cost-plus pricing. It's I think I guess I've talked about this before, but I think it's good for now for launching. It's good for now to just prove the idea works. But I think in the future, it's definitely not going to be the same way. And the reason being for this is that the reason why these applications grew so fast is because of that monthly subscription. And what do I mean by that? Is because if you know what you're going to make the next month, you can kind of start wrapping things up based on just those numbers. And with usage-based pricing, it's hard to scale. And what I need specifically for my case is that I need more, I guess, like, if I could put it in non-technical terms, I need more n- I need more computer power. And that's why it's very important that I guess I'm speaking to myself now. It's very important that I really get the pricing right, because otherwise, bad pricing, at least bad servers, and eventually the death spiral. I don't want that to happen. Anyway, so I started working on the landing page. I even went to the book called The Marketing Made Simple. They have a process there about writing a wireframe for your website. So, or the landing page. I essentially went through that process, and I used that to improve the copywriting on my landing page. What they had there is like a more structured format of the landing page, while mine was based off a template. I think one of the key things that I got away from that I took from that book is that the landing page is like telling a story. It's like and what makes a story more valuable is that there is a problem, and then you become the guide, your product in this case, and then you offer that solution. So that sort of contrasting effect that you're providing them, that this is your problem and this is the solution, and that kind of thing. So I've implemented that sort of story thing. It's the storytelling on the landing page. I'm obviously not gonna go through this in detail because like I'm just basing this off bullet points if you want to know the truth. One of the biggest one that I found this week, the one thing that really excited me the most is getting so I mentioned how I released the external release of the app. And what I found is that while I was testing the application is that I tested it on a different device. And what I found is that I tried calling myself, but the difference here is that instead of the app being open, it's terminated. So as you know, like if your phone app should, ring if you get a incoming call. And what happened is that I tried calling myself through that screener number, to that number, and the app was dead silence. And what I found out, besides all of the things that I talked about previously, like, putting it on production environment, something like that, but this is completely different. It's how you handle your VoIP notifications on the device itself. So I think what I learned, at least from yesterday, is that you have to report the call immediately. That's one thing. And then you have to make sure that you're sending a message back to Apple notification service or server. That's what I found. And I think if you get that one right, your phone should start ringing. At least that's what I came across from yesterday. That's one of the biggest ones that I came across yesterday. And also it opened up a bunch of other issues as well. So I think, and one of the issues here from yesterday is if the app is terminated, so what's going to happen is that it won't be connected to the server. It won't be connected to the WebSocket connection. In this case, it would ring, but it would not give me the live feedback. It would not give me the live updates. It would not. I would try and click on different buttons here and there. I would try to connect to the call screener. I would even sometimes leave it on. Like it would connect to the agent because the agent is kind of tied natively inside of the number, but it wouldn't send me an update even about the agent or the status or even about the server as well. And what I found is that if the app is terminated, for some reason, the user gets signed out for no reason. So even if even if you sign in, for some reason, if you turn off the app, if you close the app, you would automatically be signed out. And if you were signed out, then you can't connect to the WebSocket. Yeah, that's one of the biggest findings I had yesterday. And yeah. And so that's what I worked on this morning actually. And the reason why I'm pinpointing the exact issue here is because I know that it's working. Like I tested inside and out of the application. I've completely verified it internally. I've seen it how it performs on development mode. I've seen it how it performs on the staging mode. And I can tell you it works. It works just fine, provided that you are connected to the WebSocket or the server. When you're not, well, if you are disconnected, then you're not gonna get any calls, because that's plain and simple. Especially for handling real-time processes, it's gonna be very, very different. And that's one of the things that I really wanted to work on for this, especially for today, because I know how important that part is. I thought not being able to able to receive incoming call notifications or your phone ringing would be one of the PO kind of issues, because it's supposed to work with your phone number. And so if your app is not ringing, then you're kind of missing the whole point of being a phone app, right? And I didn't realize this is probably the second. This is probably the P1, which is user authentication. It's like the user are authenticated. The only issue that I'm having so far because I'm using Firebase, is just solving that issue. It's like, so how do you retain the user authentication or the user session even if the app is already dead? And that's an extremely important issue that I am currently solving now. So currently this is on the 28th. So I'm recording this on the 28th. By the time this month has ended, I could tell you I've already probably launched the application, regardless of what happened, regardless of whether or not I fix this issue. But I can tell you, I think I'm making a ton of progress just on that issue itself. So because I really dedicated the entire morning just on that. And I think I've made a big progress now. I've removed all the unnecessary signouts when something goes wrong, and I really made sure that I get to a verification tonight or today, at most tonight, or worse is gonna be tomorrow. But I think I'm gonna be able to do that easily. And yeah, look, I think this week is not. I guess it's not really that a big update, right? I think one of the biggest learnings so far is just testing it on the real device and verifying how it would work on actual device. And that's one of the biggest learnings so far I've gotten. And actually getting the phone to ring on your device while the app is closed, that's a big deal. The next one is going to be just solving this authentication issues, not because they're not authenticated, but because they are automatically getting signed out, and therefore they can't connect to the WebSocket connection, especially for any incoming calls, and therefore they then can't get the real-time updates as then needed to then interact with the caller. That is another biggest issue there. If I don't get that solved, that's yeah. But I can tell you now is the app is getting in shape, and like yesterday, just seeing it work, seeing it actually ring on your device was just so amazing. And I think I'll squeeze this in. So I've already launched this. So maybe I'm going to make a video on how to actually improve. I'm going to add some improvements on user experience when you're using this app. What I found is that the slide to answer feature on your iPhone is so annoying to use. And the app doesn't, it's not like the app can't work with the slide to function feature. I might show like an animation here, because it will still work, but it's not a smooth user experience. You have to click this button on the bottom left corner, which then takes you back to the app, which then opens up, a screen that lets you respond to the caller. And I kind of don't like that. I don't like how you have to slide it in. It doesn't even make any sense. I like the two button system because then all you need to do is, if you really do want, so the two button system is, for my app at least, it works like something like this. So if it's a decline, it's always going to be a decline, period. No question about it. A decline is always a decline. No answer eventually goes down to your fallback method, which is your AI. So if you miss out your call, it goes back directly to AI. If you do want to answer, you press this check button you accept the caller, which would then open up the app, and then now you can respond to them in 3 ways, or in 4 ways, to be honest. Accept, decline, connect, call screening, like you manually screen them, and then you can deal with them with your AI, and then interact with the caller through that. Look, I think that's really it. That's really it I got this week. Look, I think one of the biggest issues that I have this week alone, I can guarantee this far, is the connection from client to server for WebSockets, and dealing with that on the production side, on production servers. And I think I gotta beef it up. I gotta make sure that it's well ready for concurrent users, and I gotta start improving that system. That's all I got this week. So if you are currently running on Express server with Node.js, and you're interested in how to improve the performance with this one drop-in replacement, I highly recommend watching this video.